Hi there, I'm Meru Maharaj, and you guys know me from Remax Oasis Dream Homes. And today we have a special guest. It's Jeff Names from Ferry Mortgage. Now, the reason why we invited Jeff over today, we're hearing a lot in the news, the media, everywhere you turn, you're hearing about interest rates, the feds, all these things related to housing, buying, and we wanted to bring the information to you and put a different perspective on it. And let's talk about interest rates. Jeff, thank you for coming. I know you're a good resource when it comes to getting information on interest rates and buyers.
Well, thank you very much, Meru. Always a pleasure to be here. One of the first things I kind of wanted to talk about with interest rate is there's all this, like you mentioned, everything talk about mortgage-backed securities and the Fed and the recent rate hike over the last couple of days. And what I wanted to kind of do is share a little bit of perspective from my own personal experience. So I've been in the mortgage industry. This is actually my 20th year. Back when I got into the industry, I'm very grateful for the mentors I had now and back then, that they didn't teach me to sell necessarily interest rate. Interest rate was more of just a detail. For example, back in 2002, interest rates were between 6.75 and 7.375. In fact, over the last 40 years, the average interest rate is actually around 8%.
Wow.
So the days of the 2 and 3% because of COVID and whatnot have kind of, now they have to make it, the Fed is making a change to combat inflation and things like that. But what I wanted to talk about, there's plenty of information out there about all of that. What I wanted to actually talk about is how it's affecting people who are in the process of trying to buy a home right now or have been looking for the last maybe 6 or 8 months, how that's actually affecting them.
Okay.
For example, one of the key things is to make sure you realize the difference between how your credit is actually going to affect your interest rate. Like you might see banks advertising different interest rates and whatnot. However, you want to make sure you get pre-approved to see how your credit is, because you might see a rate advertised, but if your if your credit isn't where it needs to be, we want to take a look at that as well. One of the most important things when you are getting ready to buy a home is to look at how much you're currently spending in rent and what you want your new payment to be. Is it going to be around the same, or you're looking to spend more per month? Becoming a homeowner with your mortgage is going to be typically your most expensive payment every single month. So we want to make sure that it's in line with what you're looking for.
We're looking at mainly your credit score. I mean, we're hearing about the interest rate feds, but you're saying your credit score plays a big part in what you're getting.
Yes, absolutely. And there's other factors as well, but mainly if you have like a 600 or a 620 or maybe 640 credit score, you might only qualify now for a rate in the high sixes or potentially even low sevens. Whereas if you have a 740, which is considered excellent credit score, that'll get you to the high fives right now. That's how much that's how much credit can affect your interest rate.
Okay, interesting, sir. Are you saying that those charts that you see, if you're making this income, this is your interest rates and all that kind of stuff, that really doesn't, that's not the main factor that we're looking at?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, in determining someone's interest rate, there's a lot of other factors that come into play, not just your income, but it could be the loan amount, it could be, if it comes down to what county you're buying in.
Okay.
A lot of factors come into play.
So you're saying people should maybe get a second opinion on what they're...
Oh, absolutely. Not even a second opinion so much, but well, definitely a second opinion. It's always important that you want to shop around to make sure you're educating yourself, or at least working with someone that you like and trust, who's going to give you sound advice. One of the most important things is the people who are pre-approved maybe 2 or 3 months ago. Make sure you get back in contact with your mortgage advisor or your loan officer, because you might qualify for something totally different now. And it might limit your buying power because of what rates have done. However, just because you're buying a home, that doesn't mean you're buying your forever loan. Rates will stabilize. It's cyclical. Rates always do move around. However, let's say you buy a house now and your interest rate's like 6.375. Well, in maybe 2 years, when rates may come back down, you could refinance that to say maybe a 5% interest rate, and maybe put that on a 25-year term. You could still actually save money and also shorten your amortization schedule, which could also help you build up your equity a lot faster versus continuing on a 30-year mortgage.
Okay. So it's no secret, rates are going up. We're seeing that. That's the trend. That's just to curb the inflation, and we all know the economic jargon we hear online. But because of that, we know it's going up. So it is feasible to get that second opinion. What about things like, I know you guys are great with this, the grants, the OFA grants, and whatever else is out there. There's a lot of great programs you guys have at Fairway Mortgage.
Well, thank you very much. In fact, we are the #1 OFA lender in the state of Ohio by quite a far margin. Actually, we just closed the deal yesterday. The gentleman was able to get into the home with nothing out of pocket. In fact, there was even a little extra money left over that we were able to apply that toward the principal of his mortgage. That's a very common thing for us to do. And let's see, a couple other things I wanted to talk about here. The whole rent versus buy situation. Like, for example, if you're spending $1,000 a month renting, that means you're essentially spending $12,000 a year lining your landlord's pockets, whereas you could be building equity for your future. So that's something to definitely take into consideration. Now, one of the things that's so important to take into consideration is the interest rate isn't what you're actually looking for. You're actually looking for your home. And when you take into account that your mortgage is going to be most likely your largest payment every month, you want to make sure when you get pre-approved, you're taking a look at the credit, making sure it's as good as it can possibly be. Or even if it doesn't have to be perfect, we can still do the type of situation where you can get into a home with nothing out of pocket. The interest rate is just the detail. It's not the reason you're buying a home. That's something that I just really want to make sure I stress, because in 2 years, we're going to have completely different interest rates. And in 2 years, your goals and objectives may have changed. You might have different things going on. You might be making more money. There's anything that could be going on.
So the bottom line is that it's still better to buy than to rent.
I would really have a hard time anybody to convince me that renting is better than being a homeowner.
We totally understand that, and this is these are the important things that people should know or should start looking into in regards to where you sit when it comes to renting as opposed to buying. Property is always a great asset, isn't it?
Yes, the only time that property has shown like a significant decrease in value was the crash in 2008. But even since then, you look at that little blip on a graph, it still continues to.
It has bounced back.
Yeah.
It's bounced back. I mean, now it's sort of stabling out. And one great perspective I see you put there is that the average rate for 40 years has been 8%. That's amazing to know, and a lot of people don't know that. So yes, we're seeing it rising, and it's not, the end of the world, as we would say.
No, not at all. In fact, I'm so grateful. That's what I kind of started with, is when I started in the industry in 2002, rates were at almost 7%.
Yeah.
And because I didn't know any better, and I was taught to show benefits of being homeowners or refinancing your mortgage or paying off debts and creating monthly savings for people, that was what I did for the first 15 years of my career, was refinances.
Yeah.
I got into purchases in 2000. I transitioned my mindset and perspective into purchases in 2015, and since then, I've been able to help people with lower interest rates compared to back in the 2000s. But if you even go back to 1982, rates were anywhere even from 13 to 18%, which is just wild. So the days of the 2 and 3% interest rates over the last couple of years,
it's gone for now.
It's gone for now, yeah. But
it's gone for a while, I'll tell you that.
Anything 5, 6, even if 7, it's still fine, because it's all about that monthly payment.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, though, one of the key things we can take away from what you said here today is the fact that interest rates are not the biggest factor that we're looking at when it comes to loans. We're looking at your credit scores. That's one of the bigger things also. And reevaluate if you've been pre-approved before. Now the rates are going up. Check your.
I would say that's the most important thing right now.
Get your rates rechecked. Have your scores run again, and have your credit scores ready. Make sure you're not buying stuff, racking up that credit card and stuff like that before you do these things. Listen, guys, if you guys want to learn more or you want to find out about your credit scores or anything when it comes to lending and your loans and your mortgages, reach out to Jeff Names. Jeff Names and his team, they do a phenomenal job. You do want to reach out to them. Their contact info is right here. We thank you, Jeff. We look forward to doing something again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and you guys, don't forget us at Remax Oasis Dream Homes. If you don't have a realtor, we have one for you. If you're serious about real estate, we're serious about you. Bye for now.
Bye.